Hi, friends. I'm Emily Lay, and you're listening to the Simplified podcast. If you're looking to simplify your life and organize your home, then you're in the right place. Every week, I invite you to explore practical ways to organize and automate the complicated parts of life so you can focus on what truly matters most. A few weeks ago, I posted something on my Substack that I was really, really nervous about. And when I'm nervous, that's usually a sign that I need to do the thing that I'm nervous about. But it sure doesn't mean it's easy. And what happened when I posted that essay was, well, I wasn't quite expecting the reaction it got. So today, I thought I'd share a little of what I talked about there, because I know that you are smart, thoughtful people who might want to think about this with me. But let me start the episode today just by saying this one very important thing. This is a judgment-free zone. The discussion we are going to have today has a lot of different angles and ways to look at it. You may even have very strong feelings about what we talk about today, and that is okay. Life is filled with things that aren't totally black and white. It's filled with lots and lots of gray, and that's something I'm getting more comfortable with as I get older. So I'm going to share one of those gray areas with you today. Here it goes. I'm not really sure how I feel about alcohol. That's a big one, right? I was 26 when I started drinking wine. I was at this super fancy steakhouse in Tampa with Brian and a girl I met from work along with her boyfriend. And y'all, this girl, I wish you could have seen her. I felt like she was the kind of grown-up I needed to be. She was polished and edgy and fancy. That night, she and her boyfriend ordered glasses of Merlot. Brian had another glass of red. But me, all I wanted right then was a Diet Coke. But I didn't want to be like the kid in the room at this fancy restaurant with these very fancy people. So we called over the sommelier and asked him to help me find a wine that I might like. And I settled on a mild Cabernet, and it was fine. Fast forward to today, I still don't really like the taste of alcohol. But having a glass of wine in the evening, or having a glass of champagne at a wedding, or drinking a fancy cocktail at a party, that's what grown-ups do, right? But if I'm being perfectly honest, I've been reevaluating my feelings about a lot of things lately. And turning 40 will do that to you. I'm thinking about all the things I feel compelled to do because it's what's expected of me. I'm trying to get those things out of my life, actually, so the person I am on the inside can show through on the outside. And it sounds really simple, but it's very tough. It really is. I think that is the true mark of a grown-up, though. Anyway, back to the topic. Something I've noticed lately is that alcohol doesn't make me feel good. Sure, it relieves a little tension in the moment, but honestly, it comes with a price because I personally get a headache almost immediately after I have my first sip. Plus, I think it makes my anxiety worse, which, trust me, I absolutely do not need more of. So if I don't entirely love the way that it tastes and I don't like the way it makes me feel, I've been asking myself, why am I doing it anyway? Is it serving me in this stage of my life, or is there a different way forward for me? Maybe with less, maybe with none at all. It's something I absolutely have not quite figured out, but I know I'm not the only one asking these kinds of questions. When I posted about this on my Substack a few weeks ago, so many of you commented. Honestly, it blew me away how many people were like, okay, wow, I've been thinking about this. I've been talking about this with my friends, too. To date, it's gotten way more engagement than any other post so far. So I wanted to have two of our co-hosts on with me today so we could talk about this together. There are tons of angles to look at this from. It's very nuanced, and there's no right answer to this. In fact, the way we look at this episode is going to vary from person to person, and that is okay. I think that it's okay and good to question things. And for me, if a thought pops into my head more than just a few times, it's a good idea to lean in and do some digging. I am so glad you guys are here with us today. So here we go. Here is a wide-ranging discussion on wine and women with Liz and Laura. Well, hi, Liz and Laura. I was just laughing and saying I never call you Laura. I always call you LK.
I know, it felt weird.
Right?
It felt weird hearing that from
It's like when Brian calls me Emily, I feel like he's mad at me because he always calls me Sue.
Bad in trouble.
Yeah. So I'm like, what?
Yeah, what?
What did I do wrong?
Ugh.
Okay.
Is this a serious topic today?
I know. Like, I think I was more comfortable when I did the episode about having my breast implants removed than I am about this one.
I think that understates the importance of this discussion, Emily.
I know. We've talked about this at length before we decided to record it and as we prepared for it, that this is such a nuanced conversation and we all bring so much to the table in terms of our lived experiences and histories and whatever. And so I just want everyone listening to know that no matter where you stand or what you're questioning or what your thoughts are, we're glad you're here. And we are going to try to really look at this scientifically and just pose some questions. That's it. Right?
I love that. And I think the most important thing is that we're talking about it. And I would encourage anyone listening, if you don't talk about this with people in your real life, maybe this is the jumping off point to start some of those conversations. Because I think that's the most important thing from today, is that talking about things that seem taboo is a good thing.
Yeah. And like you say, Emily, you don't have any of the answers. This is not a point of making a decision. There doesn't have to be a decision that comes out of this conversation. You don't have to change anything you do or what your daily life looks like. But I think having the conversation, like Laura said, is a good jumping off point.
I totally agree. And I'll kind of kick us off. Last night, Brian and I went to dinner with the kids, and we went to this one place where we always order a glass of red wine. And I kind of was like, I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to see if this is in my head or if this headache that I get is actually something that physically happens to me when I drink alcohol. So I ordered a glass of red wine. And Brian and I have been talking about this forever. And he's almost like, I don't get it. I never get a headache. It's fine for me. He collects bourbon. He thinks it's so fun. And he's like, it just doesn't happen to me. So I ordered a glass of red wine and I had a sip of it and I was immediate, instantaneously. I almost wonder if it's an allergy. I don't know. But it immediately.
That's a real thing too.
I know.
That is a very real thing. Yeah.
And I'm like, I have all of these nuanced feelings. I don't know if I want to. I don't want to have a headache. I have so many friends that will come over for book club or whatever, and we'll have a glass of wine and whatever. But do I have to? Can I opt out? Can I choose what feels best for me? And the answer is yes, obviously. But it's so complicated, right?
The feelings that come along with that and being the one in the group who doesn't.
Yeah.
Because I have been there a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's awkward and you feel weird.
It is.
And I can't explain why you feel so weird, but you do.
And I know my friends that we get together with, nobody's judging me if I don't have anything with them or if I have sparkling water, which, by the way, San Pellegrino with 2 limes, delicious.
Always.
Delicious.
It's my favorite.
But you have to ask for 2.
I love it. Okay. So many rabbit holes. But Laura, you were saying a second ago that you love the experiment part of it.
Yes. So for me, and I know we'll get into this, but for most of my 20s, it was an internal thing for me. If I'm going to show up and be the extrovert that I am and be the life of the party, then I'm going to need some help getting there.
Yeah.
That was my 20s. That was what alcohol was for me. It was that extra nudge to make things fun, make things exciting,
Yeah.
And then once you start having kids, that cannot happen anymore. No. But I still found myself, on those nights around a fire pit with friends, still feeling well, I need a seltzer or something if I'm going to be the life of the party still.
Yeah.
And for me, it was let's just try this one night. I'm going to see if I can still have fun, be fun, make people laugh, have a great time if I don't have that in my system.
Yeah.
And for me, it was let's just see what happens. Let's see what happens. And of course, it was still a great time. But for me, I needed that. I needed to play that game of, is this what I need to still have a good time?
Is this the common denominator or is it me?
Is it me?
Is it me?
That was some internal work that I had to do a couple of years ago.
I think that the idea of this experiment is so cool. When I went to the Taylor Swift concert in Atlanta a few weekends ago, I told all the girls I was going with, I'm going to have so much fun. You guys have as much as you want, but I'm not going to drink at all. I just don't want a headache. I don't want a headache to ruin this for me because it will last forever and it will feel terrible. And they were like, oh my gosh, that's great. So we had the best time and it was there was no headache involved and it was wonderful.
You know what for me was sort of a trigger of maybe you should start looking at this and thinking about this is obviously over the past couple of years, I was pregnant, and then prior to that, going through fertility treatments. And I was relieved to have an excuse not to drink.
Oh my gosh.
And how silly is that? How silly is that when you think about it? Like, honestly, relief is the exact word.
Because no one, if you say, well, I'm pregnant or I'm going through treatment, it's like, okay.
No, it's full stop.
Yeah.
Great. Good for you. I remember going to a bachelorette party in August of last year, whenever it was, about to start fertility treatments. And I said, just told everybody, like, I'm not going to be drinking that much. And while it took a minute to not feel weird about it, I was so relieved because I didn't have to deal with the physical side effects of me drinking alcohol because I am a lightweight. I just am.
Same.
And I have tried to push through it, but that's just how I'm built. And for me, that's what it is. I just hate the physical symptoms. I hate it. So having an excuse was like such a relief. And it was like, okay, if I need an excuse to not drink, why am I doing it at all?
Oh,
like, why do I feel like I need an excuse? And I think, Emily, what we saw as the reaction to your Substack was just such a confirmation that so many women are thinking this. So many women are, even if they're not talking about it in their circles, they are thinking it internally. And it's like keeping up with the Joneses. It's like, okay, if everybody else is doing it, it's a cool thing to do. So we just keep doing it and keep going the way that we're going. And nobody stops to take a second and see, ask if this is really the intentional decision I want to make today.
Yeah.
And maybe that changes tomorrow. It's just interesting.
It really is. So, like, when my kids, well, let's back up a little bit. When Brady was really little, I had a group of girlfriends, really amazing girls and like super sweet moms and all the kids were babies, so I can't even say they were friends yet, but they were like tiny. And we would get together on Fridays and have play dates in the afternoon because we were all kind of like either working from home or stay-at-home moms, and we were mega lonely and mega overwhelmed. And every single time there would be lots of wine involved. And here I am, I'm like, I don't even know what to say because I want to say the right thing. But I remember, during that experience being like, is this good? Like, and it wasn't that anyone was pushing it. It was just like everything we saw on Instagram and on social media was like, moms need wine. Wine will help you not feel so overwhelmed. Wine will help you relax. Like, okay, so that's what we do when we all get together with our babies. And then we would like go home and be like, I feel terrible. That did not help. It actually made it worse. And as we've all gotten older, I think we've all kind of asked ourselves these questions of like, why is it that we turn to, and I don't mean to vilify wine at all, but like, why is it that we turn to that like it's going to make it, the stress of motherhood in particular better when the science says that it actually makes anxiety and depression worse, right? So for me, I had to like look at that and think of those moments where it's been a really insane day and I've been like, glass of wine, like that, I'm going to pour myself a glass of wine while I'm making dinner or whatever. And like, for a hot minute, I'm like, relieved, like it just instantly feels like I loosen up a little bit. But then comes the headache and then comes, like just not feeling quite right. And for me, when I have a sip of anything, I get hungry. Like I just get starving and all of my like eating good and nourishing my body goes out the window.
You're not reaching for carrots at that point.
I'm head first in a bag of goldfish. Like, and so like, I think part of the experiment for me has been like, if that doesn't work long term like I want it to, if it doesn't actually make anything better, like what does?
Yes.
When I feel so overwhelmed that things are going nuts, like what does? And there's a couple things, like sometimes I'll just go and like get in the shower, like a hot shower, and be like, okay,
100%.
I'm going to take a deep breath here and let the hot water wash it away. Or I'll just go out and walk the dog and just like leave the stress. And my kids are older, so I can do that. But anyway, have y'all experienced that and like tried to cope with wine or like try to find better ways to cope with the stresses of all the things?
Yes. Emily, I just related so much with everything you just shared. And I feel like where it got really hard for me, you said Brady was a baby, but I feel like it was when my kids were a little bit older, when I wasn't in baby zone anymore. And like they are okay with a little bit more independence.
Yeah.
And that for me hit the time of COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Where drinking with your girlfriends felt like this might be the last night. We can do this for 2 weeks if someone ends up.
Yeah.
So it was like every night's our last night type of mentality. We better go, balls to the walls and have some fun. Soak up the night, see if we can drink till midnight. Because tomorrow we might not have this. We might all have COVID and have to be away from each other.
We're stuck at home anyway.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is already an incredibly lonely and scary. Yeah.
So lots of bad habits happened during the pandemic. And for me, and you said it was because you were lonely and it was something to do with your friends. My friend group, we've started let's come up with like 5 things we can do this month that don't involve sitting in someone's house where it's easy to sit and drink.
Yeah.
Like last weekend, we went on a Costco haul together. It was
that's so fun. I want to do that.
That is my dream day.
We went to Costco, we went to Target, we went to TJ Maxx, and it took like 5 hours, which is how much time we'd be spending at nighttime.
Oh my gosh.
It was so fun. We went to a delicious place for lunch. I think it just comes with age too. Like you know how your body deals with lack of sleep and toxins.
Yeah.
We just don't want to treat our bodies like that anymore in our 30s and 40s.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, let me just back up and say, me and my friends did an Aldi run together one time, and it was so fun. I was like, what do you buy? And do I need to buy that?
The amount of joy this brings me. Why have I never thought to do this? This is such a great idea.
I love this.
I think the mom wine culture needs to be like a moms go grocery shopping together culture. Like, let's make some T-shirts that say that.
Yes.
And you get the things done. That's so brilliant.
That's so great.
That's brilliant.
I love this so much. Gosh, one of the things, and I'm kind of bouncing around here, but this just came into my head. One day, Caroline will be like a grown up. And she'll be like, Mom, come over for a glass of wine. And I'll be like, I'm on my way. And I'll like go over. And so the idea of like being a person who doesn't drink at all, I'm like, oh, I'll miss that moment with her where she's like, come on over. And I'm like, cool, I'm on my way. But like, why does it involve a chilled bottle of white wine? Why can't it be a cup of coffee? Why can't it be tea or like...
Yeah.
And then the other thing about kids, and this has been really big for me, like on my heart, is there... And I have no reason to think this is going to be my reality ever one day. But like, is it really good for my kids and all kids to have like grown-up role models they can look up to and be like, there's a different way forward. Like, I don't have to do what all my friends do. If it doesn't feel good to my body, I can do things a different way. So like, I don't really know what that means. It's just been on my heart lately that like, maybe there's a reason. Like maybe you making a good decision for what works for your body will inspire someone else to make a good decision for what works for their body, you know?
Amen.
Yeah. And bigger than alcohol, you know, that could, that just the ripple effect of that, I think is huge to think about.
I'm always trying to do right by my body. So when it comes to my hair and scalp health, finding a product that actually works and is made with clean ingredients always seems like a trade-off. But with Vegamore, I get products that are made with clean ingredients and give me visibly healthy hair. With Vegamore, I can have thicker, fuller, shinier hair, all without the harsh ingredients. That's gotten more important to me over the years. And you know what else is? Having a hair care routine that is super easy. And that's where the Grow Revitalizing Shampoo and Conditioner Kit comes in. I've been using it for a couple months and my hair is super soft and thick and shiny. I love this stuff. I might try the Grow Serum next. I'll let you guys know how that goes. So give yourself the hair you never thought you could have with Vegamore. For a limited time, Simplified listeners get 20% off their first order by going to vegamore.com/simplified and use code simplified at checkout. That's vegamore.com, vegamore.com/simplified. Code simplified to save 20% on your first order. vegamore.com/simplified. Code simplified. Being a parent to young kids and waking up feeling refreshed do not always go hand in hand, but with the Hatch Rest, restful nights for the entire family can be your new reality. The new and improved second generation Hatch Rest makes sleep better and more magical for your whole family. The all-in-one Hatch Rest is a smart sleep device with a sound machine and nightlight that grows with your kids. Babies love the continuous sounds of white noise and lullabies for a soothing and comfortable sleep environment, while toddlers and big kids can build sleep independence with color color and sound cues that tell them when it's time to wind down for the night and when it's time to wake up. We just got our first Hatch Rest for our 4-year-old Paige, and you guys, I don't know what we did without it. The white noise and the soft light help her gently fall asleep. She absolutely loves it, and her parents do too. Right now, Hatch is offering our listeners up to 15% off your purchase of a Hatch Rest and free shipping at hatch.co/simplified. So if you're ready for improved sleep for your kids and yourself, go to hatch.co/simplified to get up to 15% off and free shipping. That's hatch.co/simplified. If you want to make sure your body feels her best on these days outdoors, you might want to make sure you're fueling her with all the vitamins and nutrients she needs. And Care Of could not make that easier. Care Of is a subscription service that ships personalized vitamins, supplements, and powders conveniently to your door every single month. You take a short, in-depth quiz about your lifestyle and health goals, and they'll give you a personalized, doctor-backed recommendation that takes the guesswork out of what supplements are best suited for you. I've used Care Of for forever, and I absolutely love it. Their quiz is super quick, and they put together a vitamin pack to help me have more energy and help my brain feel sharper. Every day, I open my pack and take them with water, and that's all I have to worry about. No keeping up with bottles, no guesswork on how much to take or what to take. I have so much energy and my brain doesn't feel foggy. I can't recommend it enough. For 50% off your first Care Of order, go to takecareof.com and enter code SIMPLIFIED50. That's takecareof.com and enter code SIMPLIFIED50 for 50% off your first order.
I want to talk for a couple minutes about like the health side of it and nourishing our bodies and like how alcohol in general plays into this. And I have some research here that I'm just going to read. It's kind of shocking, but we're coming at this from like a purely scientific fact perspective, right? So 3 things. According to the CDC, nearly half of adult women have consumed alcohol within the last 30 days. Also, according to the CDC, women are more susceptible to the damaging effects of alcohol than men. This means women have more of a chance of developing liver cirrhosis, cognitive decline, and heart damage than men who drink the same amount. And then, according to a 2009 study from the University of Oxford, women who have just 1 drink a day have a 10% higher risk of developing breast cancer than women who do not drink. Let me repeat. That's 1 drink a day, 10% higher risk of breast cancer. I read that and was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, that's a lot of percents.
How come we don't know this?
And as someone, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer before the age of 50, which immediately makes
Liz.
my risk so much higher.
Yeah.
And so every OB appointment I go into, my yearly, woman exam, we talk about the things that can help reduce the risk of that and things to be on the lookout for. And that has never been mentioned.
Yeah.
That has never been mentioned. And that 10% is so high.
It's so high.
I have goosebumps. Like, that is so high.
Liz, I had no idea. That
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that.
Yeah.
That scares me. My mom's mom, so my grandmother had Alzheimer's and she had it for 20 years and it was just awful. And I follow Dr. Amen. Do y'all follow him on Instagram?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
I do.
It's your Substack I started.
I love
do.
him. He's the brain health doctor. He's a psychiatrist who studies brain health. And he has posted some statistics from some studies that talk about this and how alcohol impacts your brain. And I saw Jennifer Garner posted something about this the other day, saying that she was reevaluating things because as she gets older, she wants to do everything she can to protect her brain. And so that's just been on my heart too. Like,
I have so many thoughts about that. I have so many big thoughts about that. We have Alzheimer's in our family, very close to me. And it's similar to the breast cancer. The thought, I think anything that I can do to protect my body, why would I not? Why would I not do that? Especially when I think that I really don't enjoy it that much. It would be one thing if this was a quality of life thing, but it's for me, it's not. It really isn't. And so it's, for me, honestly, it's kind of a no-brainer, pun intended. When I look at, I have a lot of health baggage on my side of the family and looking at, why not? It's such an easy for me fix. Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of big thoughts that I need to suss through.
I know. Don't we all? When we started this podcast, we were like, okay.
We're going to need a part 2, part 3.
I know, right?
Emily, something you said in your Substack was, I wonder if alcohol to this generation will be what smoking was to us when we were kids. I have told 20 people about that sentence.
Right?
I have not thought about that. You know, when you were in school and you'd go into the stall to go to the bathroom and there'd be like all these papers taped to the inside of the door about all of these things that you should be careful of, and from drugs to sex to bullying. Like, this stat, that needs to be talked about more.
Yeah. I agree. I'm so glad that you brought that up, actually, because I think that this whole sober curious movement that we're seeing, like, I don't know, it makes me think of that, because my parents' generation, like, smoking was normal. Like, a lot of people smoked. And then we learned more about it. And our generation, many of us opted out of doing that. And so, like, I wonder if we're in that part of the world now, or in time, where we're learning more about what these things do to our bodies, and maybe our kids, I don't know, maybe they'll make different choices. Who knows?
I think you bring up a great point for me. Alcohol is very cultural in my family. And in my friend groups. You know, I don't know about you guys, but my family, we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun, both my mom's and dad's side of the family. And we are have a beer with lunch, have a cocktail in the evening, and cap it all off with wine. And it's so cultural. And for me, that's just not, like we keep saying, I don't feel good. I do not feel good when I do that. And so for me, navigating being the outsider to some extent, that feels a little dramatic, but being the quote unquote outsider, it can be uncomfortable, and having to navigate that. And I have gotten more comfortable with that as I get older, but getting comfortable with being the outsider to the people who are closest to me in such a very deeply cultural way has been interesting. It's been very interesting. And both my brother and I we are kind of like the black sheep. We do not feel good when we drink alcohol. Yeah. And so it's I don't know, it's been really interesting to navigate. So talking about your parents, it will be interesting to see generationally. It's you know better, you do better. So it will be interesting to see. I think a lot of our generation is feeling this and feeling this way, and looking at our parents and their generation and seeing, okay, is that how I want my world to play out? I'm not sure. You know, and for me, that doesn't necessarily mean cold turkey. That does not necessarily mean all or nothing, you know?
Right.
And maybe it will one day. I don't know. But it doesn't today. You know, there are definitely, I had my sweet cousin who I haven't seen in years stay with us over the weekend. And it was so fun sitting with her on my couch, having a glass of wine and talking about boys, you know?
Yes.
And I didn't regret that.
Right.
I didn't regret that. I had a glass of wine that I nurtured all night, and I loved every moment of that.
And it felt good to your body.
And it felt very good to my body, because I was drinking water, and that, I will remember that night forever, because it meant so much to me.
Yes.
But not every Wednesday night has to be that. You know, I think for me, what I'm learning is that it's not an all or nothing. It's not, I don't have to have a glass of wine or a beer with every dinner we go out.
And Liz, you're right in the thick of, you know, a new baby at home.
Yeah.
You are the prime candidate for the mommy
slippery slope,
mommy wine culture marketing that you see. Like one of my really good friends, when Brady was really small, we would always like meet up, like put the kids to bed and meet up for a glass of wine or like whatever. And she stopped completely. She was like, it doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't help me reach my health goals. Like, I'm just going to not do it. And we talk about it often. And she tells me like, yeah, it was weird at first, but now, like, there is nothing better than going on a vacation and coming home feeling rested. Or, like, going to a concert or a baseball game or whatever and coming home and being like, that was so fun. And then I got a good night's sleep. And then the next day, I just got to have all those fun memories to think back on, rather than
forgetting everything.
Or forgetting everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And so something that she and I noticed a lot when... Let's see, Brady was born in 2015. So Or I'm sorry, that was the twins, 2011. I got a lot of kids. But like that, I feel like that's when the mommy wine marketing thing started, where we would see like mommy's go-go juice or like mom water or like, what? I don't get it. And I almost feel like it almost makes me kind of mad. Like the big wine people are like preying on moms. I don't want to say preying on moms, but they're marketing to moms who are tired, who are overwhelmed, who
very vulnerable,
so vulnerable and
desperate
for
looking for something to
relief.
Yes.
Yeah. And like, there's so many things that moms need. Like they need friends, they need support, they need encouragement,
they need water and sleep
and nourishment. Like,
and wine does the opposite of all of those things. Alcohol. It's not just wine. It's all of the things. Yeah.
Yeah. They know exactly what they're doing.
Oh,
it's working.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's 100% working. And I feel like us having these conversations and like calling that out and being like, that doesn't actually work for moms. Momentarily it makes you feel loosened up, but then it does the opposite. Like, at least for me, it makes my anxiety through the roof.
For me, it doesn't even loosen me up, to be totally honest with you, because as soon as I have a drink in my hand, I am usually just, one, it makes my anxiety so much worse, but two, I'm also anxious about how this is going to make me feel. When is this going to kick in? How am I going to feel tomorrow? Thinking about all the things I have to do tomorrow that this is going to get in the way of. It doesn't loosen me up, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, are these 3 glasses of wine worth losing the next 3 days?
Literally.
Literally.
Because it's just every single year, the hangovers get worse. And it takes me out. It takes me out.
Yeah.
I saw Princess Diaries, Anne Hathaway, right? She was in Princess Diaries? Okay. All of a sudden I was like, that's not the right person.
Nope. Right, girl.
She said on Ellen once, she said that she had like a night of drinking with Matthew McConaughey and literally had a hangover for a week. And she said that she had decided at the time she wasn't going to drink anymore until her kids were out of her house because it just was making her feel so bad as she got older. And like that's me. I feel like I turned 35 and my body was like, yeah, that's cute.
It happened so much. It happened at like 26 for me. Honest to God. I know that sounds silly, but really it was like overnight I would have a glass of wine and I am hugging the toilet. Like for me, it is not even headache. It is it's not worth it for me. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
No.
It just isn't worth it for me.
We don't have to make a decision in the sand. Like from this day on, I will never.
Right.
I want to have a glass of champagne at my daughter's weddings. I want to have a glass of wine at Thanksgiving with my family. Like, there are some things in where you can still enjoy alcohol for sure.
For me, a very big theme at this point in my life is intentionality. And for me, it's like you said, Laura, it's not black and white. It's not all or nothing. It is being intentional with when I choose to do that and when it feels worth it to me.
Yes.
And also when I do it, doing it smartly.
Yeah.
And partnering that with water and, being smart and making sure that I eat before, that's being smart about how I do it and making that experience worth it for me and knowing my body and how I feel best. And
so true.
Another thing that I have fallen in love with, I have started following these girls on Instagram. Okay, Candace M. Reed is the one that comes to mind. She has a Mocktail Monday and makes the most stunning.
I was just going to say this. Yes.
The most stunning drink. And for me, that's
part of the experience.
Alcohol is like, I want to feel like I'm splurging and special.
Fancy.
Bougie.
And you can still make a gorgeous delicious drink without the alcohol.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So our good friend Barry, he co-founded a company called Boisson, and they have like in-person retail locations in a ton of big cities, but they are a liquor store without alcohol. So it's all the brands of all the fun things. And he sent me a huge box of like ideas to try. And a couple that we have really loved, Seedlip is a really cool brand. Their branding, by the way, like
oh my gosh,
designer side
that
of me
is,
dies.
I'm a sucker. Obviously, I'm a director of marketing. I'm a sucker.
Right. It's just so good. But Seedlip, they serve it in a lot of like restaurants now. Like they'll serve non-alcoholic options. And there's a citrus one that I love. And I ordered a cocktail. Well, they call it a cocktail kit, but it's non-alcoholic. And it's like grapefruit syrup with club soda and then this Seedlip. It's made like out of botanicals and herbs and whatnot. And it tastes kind of citrusy. And I made a Panoma, like a paloma.
Oh, how cute.
And you like put the little, like the lemon juice, the lime juice. Oh my gosh. I took it to Brian. Who's like not at all interested in any of this. He's like, I love glass bourbon. He loves bourbon. To each their own. So I was like, listen, try my Panoma. And he was like, that is the best non-alcoholic mocktail cocktail I have ever had. It was so good. We'll link to it in the show notes. It was so good.
Delish.
And then there's a couple of others, like if we're hanging out at the pool. So when we go to Lake Oconee every summer, our thing was to drink Paloma. I was going to say Panoma. That's not it. Palomas by the pool, which is tequila and club soda and grapefruit juice. But here I am out by the pool. I'm hot. I'm dehydrated. And it just doesn't work. So I started doing grapefruit juice with club soda and lime. It is so good. It's so good.
That was my pregnancy go-to order.
Yes.
It's so good. And I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but a lot of our favorite restaurants here in St. Louis are starting, have you noticed, like having a non-alcoholic section?
Yes.
And it's so fun. It really is so fun because...
And they're cheaper.
They're so much cheaper. And then you don't want snacks after. At least that's me.
I mean, I still want snacks. Let's be real.
I always want snacks.
In theory, yeah.
So we're members at our country club here, right down the street. And when we were there last night, and I had that glass of red wine, I was like, I went up to Doug, the bartender, and I was like, can you just get some San Pellegrino? I want San Pellegrino in a wine glass with limes. Like, just carry like a bottle in here for me. And he was like, of course.
And drink it out of a wine glass. And honestly, it's the same.
Yes. Yeah. It is literally,
you haven't lost your weekend. You have not lost your weekend.
Yeah.
My other go-to is Fresca, which is like
so delicious.
So amazing. So I absolutely love it. Brady for Christmas got me one of those, it looks like a wine glass, but it's like the stainless steel kind. And it has dogs with Santa hats all over it. And he was like, this is for your Fresca.
I love him. I love him.
So it's my Fresca cup.
And he can have a sip from it.
And he can have a sip. That's right.
Yes.
This makes me so happy, y'all. Like, just number one, normalizing this conversation. And number two, talking about things that no one else wants to talk about is like my jam.
Yeah, you've really been on a good streak there, Em.
It's just so fun. I love it. And I feel like it's such a good and healthy thing to question not just this, but everything in your life that you're like, I'm not sure that feels good to me anymore. I'm not sure this fits in my life anymore. Like, you have agency to say yes and no to things and to change your mind.
I know I keep saying it, but like me walking away from this conversation and for all of the listeners walking away from wherever you are today, nothing has to change if you don't want it to. You know, like really, this doesn't have to be a decision that you're making, but just think about it. Just think about, question what feels good to you and what doesn't. And if it doesn't need to be there. It just doesn't.
I love that. This is a big conversation and a hug wrapped in a ton of grace, and I hope that everyone listening just feels like you're so welcome at this conversation at this table. Okay, I have one last question for us to talk through before we wrap this up. What do you guys think that women of our generation and moms and just women in general, like, what do you think they need more than anything? And what are some of your ways that you kind of like take a break, but also like, for lack of a better term, like step off the ledge of a panic attack? I used this phrase yesterday because I almost had one. Like, how do you, instead of reaching for a glass of wine to just like, relieve it, how do you handle that moment?
I am in the thick of this right now. I have a lot of thoughts and I will try to keep them short. I think I am very blessed to have a community of people around me and support. My husband is so often these days will say, honey, I need 5 minutes. And it is no questions asked. He grabs the baby, or vice versa. You know, we are really intentional about making sure that we each have things. Of course, his thing is running. God bless him. It will never be my thing. That is never what is. I wish it was my thing. It's never going to be what relieves the stress for me. No. And honestly, sometimes it sounds silly. For me, that's working. Let me just sit down at my computer and be this 100%. Person, be myself for 30 minutes, shower, absolutely, bath all day long. I don't know. I wish I could say working out was it for me, because I would really love that journey for me, but it just isn't. Force myself to do it, but it's just not me. And even reading a book, I don't know, anything these days that makes me feel like who I was before Bennett is just, and I love him with every fiber of my being, but sometimes I need to take a break from that love, if that makes sense.
100%.
Anything that makes me feel like I can step back into myself for 30 minutes, sometimes even.
I love that.
Makes it worth it.
I love that. I would say what women and moms need more than anything is peace. Like, and whatever that means for you. If that means I'm going to feel so much peace sitting on the couch having a glass of wine with my cousin, or if it's like tonight, I am going to make decisions that I'm going to love tomorrow, that I'm going to feel great tomorrow. Yeah. I think it's like a clear mind, a super clear vision on what's important. And for me, it's that 30-minute walk in the sunshine. It's that hotter than heck shower where my skin feels like it's burning,
bubbling off.
Right. And then it's like, this sounds so lame, but it's turning in early and being like, Alex, you got the dog tonight. I'm going to bed. I'm going to watch a show. I'm warm and cuddly.
8 o'clock. Put me to bed.
Me too. And it's getting like 9 hours of sleep, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. That was my answer. It was like, some nights I'll be like, kids, I love you. Let me give each of you a kiss. Daddy's got you. I'm going to bed. It's 7, but I'm going to bed. And I know that just like my brain just needs to like go to sleep, you know? And that like the hot bath, the moving my body and getting out. And you know what else really helps? Sour Patch watermelons.
Sugar.
Oh, my mouth is watering. You just say that.
We'll do a whole other episode on sugar one day, but not today.
Not today.
The other day, Brian had to go to Walmart to get something, and I was like, Caroline really wants you to get a huge bag of Sour Patch watermelons. And he came back and he was like, Caroline, I got you this. And she goes, thanks. Why? I don't even like them. Nobody can say no to her.
I think it's just so healthy to know there's a million ways to feel like you're indulging in something that also makes your body feel good.
And talk about lame and not to be lame, but having your kids watch you do that, there's something so powerful about that, you know? And being the CEO of your body, being the CEO of what decisions make you feel best, and modeling that for them is so important, I think. It's really powerful to think about.
I agree. That's such an important note to make here, that like taking a look at things in life and making decisions that work best for you, what a good thing to teach our kids. No matter what that is.
No matter what that is. Even if that's you going to bed at 7 because that's your body needs the rest. I want my kids to be able to do that. I want them to feel like they know themselves best. That is, I don't care what Bennett grows up to do or learn or be, but I want him to be kind, and I want him to know himself and do the best with what he has. And I think modeling that for him
is important.
What better way? Yeah, is so important.
It's the most important.
Yeah.
It's the most.
I love that. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for doing this.
This was the best.
And I don't know why I was nervous about this.
I was too, but it like, I feel like this was a really healthy, awesome conversation, and I hope that everyone listening just feels encouraged.
We're giving you a hug.
We are.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Wow, you guys, I don't even know what to say about that episode. It was so wonderful, and I personally just felt so encouraged having conversations that nobody wants to have with these two amazing, wonderful friends of mine. So thank you guys for listening. I would love to hear your thoughts. Leave us a review over on all the places. We read all these things and take them all to heart, but this episode was really special, so I'm glad you're here. Well, today I'm going to end the episode with a simple request. I want you to think about the way you're coping with the hard days. Is the way you're coping serving you? If not, is there another way you could manage your stress? Do you need to get out of the house for a bit by yourself? Do you need a walk or a coffee or even to go talk to someone? Above all, don't judge yourself. That is not what we're doing here. Just take a few minutes to notice the pattern of how you deal with hard moments and think about if there's a kinder way forward that might serve you a bit more. Thanks for listening to the Simplified podcast. You can find show notes for this episode at emilylay.com/podcast, where you can check out links and resources we mentioned here, and you can shop the Simplified brand of planners and products. Plus, you can follow me on Instagram at Emily Lay and our brand at Simplified. And if you want more chances to think about big ideas with me, then I think you'd love following me on Substack. You can find me at emilylay.substack.com. And don't forget to hit the follow button wherever you listen to this podcast. It'll just show up in your phone every week. You don't even have to think about it. Till next time, thank you so much for listening. Bye.